For me right now, personally, I'm blessed. It's a great time. It's a great time in my career and in my life. I pulled a lot of stuff together. As far as family goes, and everybody is just in a real positive headspace. And to come around Young Money, man, it's always fun. And right now, it's just for me, it's about being humble, and it's just about keeping relationships up with everybody, and just letting everybody know that no matter, how big this gets, like I'm always here, and I know that Wayne gave me a shot, and a lot of these people, embraced me when I showed up that first day. So, I owe them that much to stay as grounded as I can. So yeah, I mean, we always laugh, we always have fun, and yeah, Young Money's a great family to be a part of, definitely. As far as So Far Gone goes, it I'm still in awe, and I'm still humbled again by the amount of people that took the time to download it, listen to it, quote it, put lines in their Twitters and Facebooks and all that stuff. It's it's something I'm very taken aback by, because I used to be so self-conscious about the strikes against me, like coming from Canada and being on a TV show and being like super light skinned. This is a mad, like this is things you just be like, oh, is this gonna work? But now it gives me a chance to really accept that I am something different. I am something new, and now it's just I see it more as an opportunity to really be like, well, maybe I don't have to be the next Ye, or I don't have to be the next Wayne. I could just be the first Drake, and I think that's something I'm happy about. And So Far Gone itself was me really doing something I felt was necessary. I wanted to give fans information about myself before we embark on this journey together, before I make this album, before I give them product that they have to really support, go out and buy. I wanted to gain their loyalty by telling them a little bit about my life, and I wanted to make sure I did it for free. It took us I'd say about 6 months, maybe a little under that, and yeah, it spawned from a conversation that just made me realize, I'm 22 years old. I really don't know everything. I have so much to learn, and really, I kind of learned what I was striving for in life, like to find love, and like what all these interaction with women is about, and then to obtain the money to live comfortably and know how to deal with it, and so for a 22-year-old kid, in high pressure situations all the time, it's kind of it can cause you to make a mixtape like that, So yeah, man, it's a great piece though, even just to have for me. Even if nobody listened to it, even if everybody was like, this shit is weird, and it's I don't know what you're trying to do. For me, it's like it was such an essential picture in my scrapbook, So I'm glad I did it, definitely. I got a great situation in the works. Should be coming to the light in about a week or so. Yeah. We just gotta work out the little clinks and clanks, But everything's great. I'm honored to be in the presence of two of the greatest managers in the game. Cortez Bryant, who manages Lil Wayne, and G. Roberson, who manages Kanye West. And now, together. I met Jazz Prince on MySpace, actually. He would just reach out to me before I had, a lot of this mixtape stuff done, especially this one, but even before, like with the other one, comeback season. He would reach out to me and just be like, yo, man, I like your music, and he kept consistent contact even when I had no clue who he was. Yeah, like, I was just like, man, this guy's persistent, and I did my research, found out that he was Jay Prince's son, coming from a legacy of amazing hip-hop in Houston, amazing rap music. So, we started talking more and more, and he was letting me know that he was around Wayne a lot. So, I would sometimes be like, yo, Wayne's got to hear my stuff, and and he's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, he does. So he came to me, and he was like, yo, I'm gonna get Wayne to hear your stuff, and months went by, and so he finally, I got a call from his number. I was getting a haircut, so I picked up the phone, and it was like, I was like, hello, and I said, yeah, what's up, this Wayne, like I was just like, what, I was like, who? He's like, yo, what's up? It's Where is it? I was like, I was like, okay. And he's like, yo, man, just heard your stuff, and you know, you got to get down here to Houston. I gotta talk to you about what's going on with you, and you know, I need you on my team. So he's like, can you fly out tonight? So anyway, you know, there were no flights that night. I flew out the next morning, and Jazz told me that he was in the car with Wayne, and he was like, yo, Wayne, did you ever listen to that Drake? Wayne was like, yeah, you know, it's whack. Like, I don't really like it. And then, so I guess they kept rolling, and Jazz was like, yo, did you really listen to that? And he's like, nah, I ain't listen to it, you know. And he's like, yo, let me play you something. So Wayne let him play, you know, a couple songs. And then, you know, and then that's where that phone call was birthed from. That all might be a lie, by the way. Just the whole story. You know, I wasn't there. Jazz could have actually, that never could have happened. So, yeah, you know, but hey, it sounds good. So, yeah. And then, and here we are, you know. Me and Wayne have become a staple duo on records. And for that, I'm honored. You know, Young Angel and Young Lion, that's what I always say. So, you know, I really write. I don't, you know, like Wayne does this thing that's it's scary and it's unfair, and I'm jealous of it for a million years. You know, it's he sits there and, you know, they'll be playing a record and he'll just sit there like this and, you know, kind of be like chilling, and might get up and eat some candy and, you know, do whatever he does, and then sit, and you know, it'll take 40 minutes, maybe, if that, maybe sometimes 15, and then he'll do this and go like that and hop up and head right for the booth and lay like one or two or three of the most amazing verses that you've ever heard, with lines that it's like, what just happened? Like, did you just make a movie in your head? Like, what just happened, you know? Because you just painted the most colorful picture for this record. Wayne is so good at that, man. He's like, I'm in awe of that dude, you know, and that's why, you know, I'm proud to call him a mentor. But for me, I take my time, I write, and it's just about me getting my thoughts out. You know, Wayne told me something really important one day. I told him, I said, how do you find those thoughts so quick? He said, it's not about making things up. You don't have to worry about making things up. If you're really writing from an honest perspective, your thoughts are in there. You just have to locate them. So he's like, you shouldn't stress about making up witty stuff, or, you know, it's not about that. It's just about finding how you really feel and locating it, and then just you know, saying it. Like, you're a rapper, so you know how to make it rhyme, you know. So when he told me that, that's kind of where I get my influence with Wayne from, is like, you know, just saying things that people wouldn't, you know, normally be able to transfer from mind to mouth, because that's where a lot of like normal human beings lose a lot of color, when they think something and then have to say it. Like, you know, it loses that clarity. The best rappers, you know, are Andre 3000, Kanye West, Jay-Z, Wayne, Jeezy. You know, sometimes Jeezy says some real yeah. So, you know, those guys, that's why they're the best rappers, because they mind to mouth, they don't lose it. There's no buffering process. Like, it just comes out. So, I mean, I just try and sort of follow that structure, and you know, I just take a little more time. I write in my BlackBerry, and I go online to research things, like, if I need to. You know, I take my time. I'm not really one of those rappers that prides himself on, like, oh, I did 50 songs tonight. You know, it's like I can do 2 verses, not finish the song, and feel proud.
I did this interview with Jay-Z. He made a joke that he inspired a generation of bad writers. Because everybody's like, I do shit like Jay.
Yeah.
But it works for Jay.
Yeah, it works for Jay, and it works for Wayne. But that's the thing, like, it shouldn't be your tagline, like, I don't even write. Well, like, if it's not quality product, who cares? We can tell, you know. Like, it's like, you know, maybe if you took the time to write, your shit would be a little better, you know what I'm saying? So it's funny that Hov made that joke, because it's like, you know, sometimes I feel like people almost pride themselves on that and kind of look at me funny when I pull out my phone and start writing. Like, you write, you know, like, what? But I mean, to each their own, and, you know, you got to do what works for you. It's a creative process, man. That's what it's about. You know, it's an individual creative process. It shouldn't be about, there's no standard. Like, you don't have to not write to be a good rapper. So, I mean, as soon as you understand that, and you get comfortable with yourself. Like, I don't care. I'll pull my phone out in front of anybody and start writing and say, yo, I got to go and check this website or do, I don't, because I know that when I come with that verse, you're going to be like, oh, okay, that's why it took, 2 hours and you had to, you needed the wireless internet hooked up. Oh, that's why, So, I mean, it's just about quality, man, and just taking pride in yourself, and having an ear. A lot of artists don't even know when they sound wrong or off. They like, yeah, that sounds the same as that hit that I have on the radio. And it's like, if you can't place, if you don't know when something's wrong, you're gonna have, you're not gonna be one of the greats. Might be cool for a minute, but I mean, yeah.
In your experiences in acting, those are things that you found applicable to your music career.
In any form of entertainment, everybody has to be an actor at some point. It's whether you want to go on screen and really get deep into characters where it becomes a personal choice. But we all have to act, Everybody you just interviewed on that bus has to act at certain points. It's when you have fans, you have other peers, you have, the potential for success, hate, jealousy. You have to act. You have to act professional. You have to, sometimes act civil when you don't want to. So, the entertainment business is actually based off acting. We're all actors in a sense. Me personally, I'm just a man of self-expression, So as much as I like writing, I like playing characters. I just like entertaining people. And it's cleansing for me to just step out of body for a bit and be something else. Acting is definitely a passion of mine, and I think it's just all around. I just feel like I'm a creative individual. I like to give things to people, So whether it be a movie or like I have a TV show that me and one of my best friends, Maz and Elsa, did. We write, and it's like it's comedy, comparable to like Judd Apatow and Michael Cera, but it's like with black people in it, So, So I mean, there's all kinds of forms of self-expression, and it carries over into obviously into music. But my music is really personal. It's really based on honesty, So it's not much acting involved, and I'm not also like Wayne is a character. Like when he performs, when he spits, he's animated. So, with me, with rapping, it's more intimate. It's more organic and more personal. My music, I think there's more acting on the business side of it than there is on the music side of it. So, my career plans are based off of doing both. I just want to be part of real films. I don't want to play a basketball player all the time or a rapper. I don't want to be like typecast because I do music. I want to be like I always tell Tez, like my dream is like to be in a movie with like Will Ferrell or Michael Cera. I'm a big fan of like all those, like Steve Carell, like 40-Year-Old Virgin and Knocked Up and Superbad. I'm a big fan of those movies, and I feel like I've had the training, and I'm surrounded by enough funny people that I could probably pull it off. So yeah. I mean, my goal is to get deep into acting. I want to be like this generation's Will Smith, but just maybe, with just a little, just Canadian. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Yeah, light skin, and maybe a bit. I'm not gonna wear like the shiny clothes. I probably won't take my shirt off either. So, Degrassi has always been really supportive. It was unfortunate the other day. I had a very long interview with a publication that I won't mention, but they asked me a lot of Degrassi questions, and my answers were kind of squished into one answer, and it kind of made me come off as a hostile guy, towards Degrassi. But nah, I mean, Degrassi is a show that must live on, So they have an all new younger cast, and I think it's great, more power to them. And I know that I have supporters over there. Hi, Stephanie Cohen. I love you. That's it. Yeah, see, Yeah, I have great supporters over there. Stephanie Cohen, Ian Christensen, like a lot of the people in the press department, and then even like up to the top. The producers always they keep their eyes on the kids, and I know that I've come across their desk a few times in the last couple months. So I think that yeah, it's all good. It's all good. When you're part of a TV show for that long, it's hard to really have animosity. You spend every day around those people, and it's like, as long as everything's kosher, it can't go that bad. And my conquest is now to outdo So Far Gone in every way possible with this album. Thank Me Later. And until that's completed, I just want to keep giving people the collaborations. I'm very selective when it comes to my music. I don't just aimlessly make songs with anybody, and a lot of people kind of look at me funny for not doing many features, but I don't want to like kill the game to a point that people are like, it's like, there's nothing new you can show me. So my goal is just to keep it timeless, keep spread it out, breathe, pace it. I want to give people the collaborations that they're looking for on this album, and then just we have this tool called the internet now, us young rappers, or the interweb as Leah Cohen calls it. So yeah, I've got us. We have a great tool, guys like Wale, talented dude, Kid Cudi. All of us sort of up and comers, I guess you could say. Our fan bases and our buzzes are stemming from these blogs and all these different things. So just to keep those people entertained. Me and Cudi were talking today at the spring break, just about so many people ask me like, yo, when's that Cudi record coming? You and Cudi. So me and Cudi are gonna make it work. And other than that, I got a song with Ye and Wayne. I got a song with Wayne and Jeezy. So I got some stuff coming to just keep the people entertained until that album hits the shelves, and hopefully my work on So Far Gone will allow me to at least break into the industry in an impressive way. I'm not overshooting trying to sell 1 million first week or anything like that, but just some nice numbers would at least show people they didn't make a mistake in believing in me. So that's the goal. There's a track with Ye and Wayne, and there's a track I have with Jeezy and Wayne. So yeah, it'll be before the album. It's just some treats for the people that when you get to be around the big boys, I just want to show I can hold my own weight. So just got those tracks on the way. But yeah, other than that, like I said, I'm gonna keep making music. I'm always traveling around my engineer 4040. So we'll continue this saga. It does go on. It's gonna be a great year, man. It's gonna be exciting. I promise just to entertain people and keep them excited. That's my goal. I don't want to be like regarded as the best or whatever. That's not my goal. Is just I want to be like, yo, that guy keeps me entertained, gets me excited. That's really like you think about when Kanye first dropped College Dropout, and the buzz behind like The Love Below and the buzz behind Fade to Black. It's like those times in music are some of the best times in people's lives. It's like you remember those times when an artist really had you amped up, like to come home every day and check something. So I think we sort of accomplished that with So Far Gone, and I just want to keep it going, with the album, try something different. So